Hello, y'all. Welcome back to another reading of Markiplier from North Korea. We're going to be reading chapter 5 today. The beginning of my relationship with Mr. Fishbach. Hello, everyone. I am Nobodium, and this is me. Hello, everyone. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. I am Nobodium, and this is Markiplier from North Korea. And we're going to be reading chapter 5 today. The beginning of my relationship with Mr. Fishbach. In 1883, Mr. Fishbach returned to South Korea for reassignment at Camp Page, which was the U.S. military base until 2005, located in the city of Chungcheon. Chongcheon, I don't know, I hope I'm not butchering it. The distance between our home in Gyeongri to Chongcheon was approximately 4 hours by bus and train. That evening, when Mr. Fishbach reappeared to us, we all gathered around the huge tray of food that my mom had prepared for Mr. Fishbach's return. The hospitality, good food, and drinks created an atmosphere of warmth and celebration. A wise person said that time has a way of changing things. It had been about 4 years since I had seen Mr. Fishbach. Although he seemed unchanged, I no longer looked at as Mr. Fishbach remembered me. At 16, I had been a chubby student in high school with a bob haircut and a school uniform. But this time, at 19, I had long, shiny dark hair with natural mahogany highlights that reached all the way down to my now slender waistline. When we met again, I was clueless about what was in my future. Since Mr. Fishbach was a married man, I could honestly say that my feelings toward Mr. Fishbach were solely friendship. Innocently, I believe that Mr. Fishbach reciprocated my feelings. At the age of 19, I have never dated any man, although some young Korean men had found me attractive enough to ask me out. I was not interested in dating a Korean man as a result of being sexually molested by a cousin. At such a young age, because of this, I turned down all my potential suitors. 4 years later, in 1983, Mr. Fishbach returned to Korea. This is a picture. Hope y'all see that quite well. See if I can get a little closer and y'all can see it. She's clearly into older men. When Mr. Fishbach found out my parents struggled to come up with my tuition for the $2, he told us that he would gladly help pay my tuition. So thanks to his generosity, I was able to begin my classes starting the following year in 1984. I was able to major in English literature, but soon I discovered that the classes were boring. I couldn't wait for Friday to come. As soon as my last Friday lecture was over, I couldn't wait to hop on a bus, take the long train ride to visit my dear friend, Mr. Fishbach. I found that the ride to Chongcheon was amazing and beautiful since the city was surrounded by tall, rocky mountains. Finally, as the train came to its final destination, I was able to see Mr. Fishbach waiting for me through the train window. I was overcome in excitement. From that time forward, Mr. Fishbach would always greet me at the train station. First day, he escorted me to the officers' dining club for dinner. I had never had a Western-style meal before, and he wanted to introduce me to American-style cooking. Since I was clueless about what to order, Mr. Fishbach ordered each of us a steak, french fries, and a salad, and some bread. Suddenly I realized that I did not know how to use Western table utensils. Fortunately, Mr. Fishbach I can't pronounce that right now, my dilemma, and patiently tutored me in using a knife and fork. Until then, I had only used chopsticks and a spoon in Korea. I felt awkward as I cut my steak. However, we both giggled at my new table manners. I was happily using a knife and fork to eat the most scrumptious steak that I had ever eaten in my entire life. It was an exciting and eventful time in my life. Since I visited Mr. Fishbach every weekend, we spent most of our time together visiting his historical sites, little towns, open markets, and mountainous areas near the base. We both enjoyed tasting local specialties, including kimchi, kimbap, cold noodle dishes, and dumplings. Although I enjoyed spending my weekends with Mr. Fishbach, deep in my heart I knew that we were on borrowed time. Our good times would come to an end when his assignment was over in Korea. Mr. Fishbach had a co-worker whose name was Roy, and he was married to a Korean lady named Haoja. During my stay in Chungcheon, I stayed at their spacious house close to Camp Page. At home, my dad became worried about my frequent visits to Mr. Fishbach. One day, with a great concern in his voice, my dad reminded me of the fact that Mr. Fishbach was married man with children. I should not become overly attached to him by visiting him every weekend. I knew deep in my heart that my dad had seen too many broken-hearted young Korean women left behind in Korea. After seriously being involved with men who had been assigned to the U.S. base for 1 year, unfortunately, there was not much I could do at home in those days. Despite my parents' worried looks, I continued to see Mr. Fishbach and our new friends, Roy and Haoja, every chance I got. During my visits, I continued to learn conversational English with Mr. Fishbach. Simultaneously, I was studying English literature in college, hoping that someday I could have an opportunity to continue with my education in America. Although my parents were poor and would not be able to send me, I kept my dream alive and burning inside of me. The year of 1984 flew by quickly. As winter approached, I began to realize that Mr. Fishbach and I would be going our separate ways. I knew that our days together would be ending soon. When I visited for the last time in Chungcheon, after we shared our final meal at a familiar Korean cafe, I sat at the table gloomily choking down my emotions, unable to find my words to express my feelings. A few days before Mr. Fishbach's departure, he confessed for the first time that he had fallen in love with me and had been in love with me for quite a while. Ooh. He further revealed that he wanted to find a way for us to be together soon. Upon hearing his confession, I could not help but start crying because of my mixed feelings. After Mr. Fishbach left me in Korea, I tried my very best to concentrate on my second year of college. I had a hard time focusing on my studies and started having difficulty achieving the high grades that I had earned previously. I started missing the time I had spent with Mr. Fishbach. Occasionally we exchanged good letters with each other, but emails were non-existent then. At the end of 1985, Mr. Fishbach returned to Korea to begin the process of helping me get a student visa through the U.S. Embassy. Mr. Fishbach had prepared the necessary paperwork in advance for upcoming immigration to the country that was home of my dream book, the Sears Roebuck catalog. My dream was coming true. Even though getting a U.S. visa was very rare and difficult at the time in Korea, Mr. Fishbach's careful planning enabled me to be granted a U.S. visa the same day. Damn, that was quick. That I applied for one. Although I didn't quite understand the circumstances surrounding his divorce, I felt guilty and uneasy. Later, I learned that the reason for the divorce focused primarily on the fact Miss Fishbach was unable to have children because she had undergone hysterectomy before their marriage. It was the first week of December in 1985. I was flying from Seoul to Washington State. We arrived in Seattle International Hub. Oh, I've been there. It's a pretty place. Recommend it. In less than 11 hours, the moment I landed, took my first step on the soil of the land of opportunity, I was immediately mesmerized by everything I saw and heard. In the crowded airport, saw so many people wearing fashionable and colorful clothing that matched their hair. Felt more at ease here because the people's facial expressions were bright and relaxed. When we walked out of the airport, instantly I felt my lungs fill with fresh air, containing the hint of sweet-smelling pine trees floating down the nearby mountains. Welcome to America, 1986. And that's her standing at like a wood fence. You can see that. Mr. Fishbach rented a car to drive us to the airport in Portland, Oregon. I thoroughly enjoyed the 4-hour ride to Portland. We drove through endless long 2-lane roads between very tall pine trees covered in thick white blanket of snow. For the first time in my life, I saw Christmas decorations covering every house in a small country town. It almost took my breath away. I thought that I had died and gone straight to Winter Wonderland heaven. Thankfully, Mr. Fishbach had arranged this trip ahead of time. He wanted me to see how grand his country was. When we finally arrived in Fort Devon, Massachusetts, I saw Devon, Massachusetts. I saw his large two-story house on a huge lot dotted by tall trees. There was a for sale sign in front near the driveway. The house was almost empty. His wife had taken their children with her in addition to all the furniture. We saw in the empty house for several weeks and stayed in the empty house for several weeks until it was sold to the right buyer. After that, we moved into a rent 2-bed apartment near his work. A few weeks later, I was able to enroll in college and start taking classes in English ESL, English as a Second Language. Well, hello, Vivian. Along with some science classes. And then, this is a picture of them dancing at their wedding. Aren't they cute? Hey, Vivian. This isn't your YouTube channel. It's mine. I'm the main star, not you. Here, I got your attention. But yeah, that was chapter 5 of Markiplier from North Korea. If you enjoyed me reading this, bomb that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the next one. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I have a wide variety of gaming videos if you want to watch them. Alright, bye-bye!